All right, so skill 2 is all about dart manipulation, which is a guiding principle in flat pattern development. We are changing the location of our darts. We are not changing the fit of our original slopers. We are keeping the fit the same, but we are just moving the darts to different locations. We are going to do this through 2 methods. One method is slash and spread. The other is pivotal transfer. These are the supplies you're going to need for this skill. You're going to need your half scale front bodice slopers. I am going to start off with just my 1 dart, but you might also need your 2 dart one. Clear gridded ruler, tape, extra paper, white, and you might want to have some colored paper as well. French curve, scissors, pencil, black pen, red pen. All right, let's get started. So for slash and spread method, we're always going to start off with tracing off our slopers. Our slopers are foundational pieces for us to use. We never cut them. We never add extra markings to them. We never tape them. We don't want anything to happen to these. These are simply for tracing off. So we're going to start off with tracing off our sloper. Do this very accurately. I want you to, your fingertips should follow along the edge of your pattern pieces, so you're getting a really accurate tracing of your sloper. Make sure you are marking the locations of your notches and also your bust apex, okay? First things first, I'm gonna label my center front. I always want that so I can orient myself with my pattern piece. All right, so here's our sloper. We've traced it off. This is now our working pattern. This is what you can mark on, you can cut it, you can tape it, you can manipulate it however you want. Don't ever do that to your slopers. Always trace it off so you have a working pattern. These 2 sketches, these are just quick sketches I made. This is what our sloper looks like. It's got waist darts that point up to our bust apex. I want us to transfer the location of our dart so that we can create a design that looks like this. Now, what I'm seeing is that we no longer have waist darts. We have darts that are coming in from the side seam still pointing to the bust apex. This is sort of the process that we go through when we're doing this slash and spread technique. We are going to analyze, that's step 1. So that is thinking about what our original sloper looks like and what we're trying to get to and how they differ from one another. So we just did that, we just analyzed it. Our new design no longer has waist darts, they've been moved up to the side bust. So our second step is going to be plotting. We are actually going to take our working pattern and we are going to plot the location of our new dart. So I know that a side bust dart is, I'm going to plot this by lining up one of the lines on my ruler with center front on my working pattern. I want this edge of my ruler to go through my bust apex. And I'm going to plot the line that is squared off with my bust apex right over here on the side seam, okay? It should be in the upper half of your side seam, squared off with your apex. So this is where I want to move our dart. To finish our plotting, what I want to do is I want to connect our new plotted dart to our apex, and I also want to connect our old dart legs to our apex. Okay, we've analyzed, we plotted. Our next step is to manipulate. This is the slash and spread part. So what I'm going to have you do is I want you to slash on your new dart location, and you are going to slash on one of your old dart legs. Doesn't matter which one, you get to pick. I'm gonna rough cut around this. I am going to pick one of these dart legs, the old ones, the original one, and slash all the way to, but not through, the bust apex. So I've cut one of the original dart legs. I'm gonna go over here to the new dart location, and I'm gonna cut to, but not through, the bust apex. You should have something like this, where your two pieces are still connected by a tiny hinge of paper right at the bust apex, but they move freely, okay? You've slashed, now the spreading happens. What you're doing is you are closing the old dart and you are spreading open that same dart at the new location, okay? And the way you can do this is to just pivot, pivot, pivot this dart until those dart legs are closed. Tape them together. And what that does is it opens that same dart in a new location, okay? I'm gonna trim this little bit off here, back behind here. Now, we have our new dart opened up. I need to get a scrap of paper just to fill in this area behind my new dart. We have analyzed, plotted, and manipulated. Now it's time for finalizing. So what happens during the finalizing step is any dart that you close, you need to reblend that line so it's smooth. Any dart that you open, you need to move the dart point back, and you need to fold it to find the intake shaping here, okay? So we're gonna do those finalizing steps now. I'm gonna start by blending this. I'm gonna use a French curve and just kind of equalize those where there's that little step. I wanna equalize it. Just find a nice, smooth blend. Okay, love that. Now here, I'm going to move the dart point, I'm gonna back it off of the apex, and then I'm gonna fold my dart to find my intake shaping here. Since we're working on half scale, I'm gonna have you back the dart point off 1/2 inch. So you line up your 1/2 inch with your apex, and you find the middle between these two dart legs right there. You give yourself a dot. All right, so do you see I backed my dart point off, put the dart point right in the middle between those two dart legs. Now I'm going to connect my new dart point to where my dart legs ended, right here along the edge of the pattern piece. You see that? This is our new dart. This right here is our apex. So now what we need to do is fold our dart to find the shape here along the edge of this pattern piece. This is a horizontal dart, which means the intake gets folded down. So I'm going to find the dart leg that is the lowest down on the pattern piece and crease it right on that dart leg. Fold back at the dart point, keep it folded, and now you can bring these two dart legs together. All right, so with my dart folded, I actually like that this is all in alignment. If there was a step or it wasn't lining up well, you would want to go in and blend that line smooth. But I'm okay with how it is. So I'm gonna, while the dart is folded, I am going to cut along the outer edge of my pattern piece. And look, we found that dart intake shaping. And do you see how it's not just a straight line? It is angled so that when the dart is folded, the edge of the fabric will be in alignment with the edge of that pattern piece. All right, you can go and finish cutting out the rest of your piece. All right, so we are still on the finalizing step. I've definitely finalized where I closed my dart. I have finalized the edge shaping of my pattern piece, and I've cut out around the rest of my pattern piece. We have created a front bodice pattern piece for this design. The last step is, now I want you to think about your sloper. On our slopers, we put punch holes right at the end of our dart points and circle them in red. Now this is so that we can just trace these bad boys off, because we're never doing anything with our sloper other than tracing it off. So it makes sense to have our punch hole right at the dart point and notches here, so we can just trace, find the outer boundaries of our dart. Once we get into pattern making, we're actually creating a design. We no longer want our punch hole to be right at the end of our dart point. What we want to do is, so we have our apex, we've backed off the dart point from our apex, and then we are going to back off our punch hole from our dart point even further. So on a finalized pattern piece, you're going to have your apex here, you're going to have your dart point backed off of that, and then you're going to have your punch hole backed off of that even further. So I hope you can recognize the difference between where your punch holes go on your slopers and then where your punch holes go on your finalized pattern pieces. But this is how I would mark the punch hole for a finalized pattern. I would actually put my punch hole there, circle it in red, and I would have my notches right at my dart legs. All right, so does that make sense? Let me know if you have any questions. The next step on here would be to add your grain lines, add your labels. This is the part where you would add any seam allowances if needed, but this was the slash and spread method. Just remember the process for it is to analyze. Find the difference between your sloper that you're tracing off and the new design that you're trying to get to. Trace off your sloper so you have a working pattern and plot your new dart locations. Then you are actually going to do the step of slashing, spreading, closing the old darts, opening up the new. And you will finalize that dart. You will blend the edge where you closed your dart, you will find the intake shaping, and then you will back your punch holes off of your dart points. Add any notches necessary, labels, markings, and then you're done. For the pivotal transfer technique, we're going to need a lot of the same supplies, and we're going to do this other technique of manipulating our darts, utilizing the same design sketch that we had with our slash and spread method. To start off with, what you're going to want is your sloper, piece of paper, and we're going to have our design here. We are going through this same process, the same steps that we used for the slash and spread technique, we are going to do for the pivotal transfer. This is a sketch for our original sloper. This is the design we are trying to get to. So we're going to start by analyzing. Same thing. Our original sloper has waist darts that point to the bust, but our new design no longer has the waist darts. They've been moved to the side seam. So let's start by plotting. So what this means is you're gonna take your sloper, and I'm actually going to plot on my sloper. I am going to do the same thing where I say, I line up one of the lines on my ruler with center front. The other edge is going through the bust apex, and I am just going to plot a point over here on the side seam of my sloper. I have analyzed my two designs. I have plotted my new dart location. Now is time for manipulate. Now, the manipulate step for the pivotal transfer is just to trace around and pivot in the middle of our tracing. You start at one of the original dart legs. You trace around the entire exterior of your pattern piece until you come to your new dart location. That is when you use your bust apex as your pivotal point. You're going to pivot the original dart closed and continue tracing around the rest of the piece until you get to the other dart leg, till you get back to where you started, okay? So let's try that together. We've plotted our new location, so we're gonna start at this dart leg. I actually start by marking where my bust apex is so I know I don't get like kind of out of whack. Mark your bust apex. You're gonna start by kind of making a hash mark at your first dart leg. I'm gonna start tracing around the exterior of my pattern piece, making sure it doesn't wiggle around, it's staying in one spot. Trace around the entire exterior until you get to your new plotted dart location. Eek, I got there. So I'm going to give myself a little hash mark, okay? This is where when you get from your original dart leg over to your new plotted location, this is where you put your pencil lead down at your apex. Your apex is your pivotal point, just like it was on slash and spread. So you hold that there in the apex punch hole, and you are going to pivot your pattern piece so that this dart leg comes over to this one, effectively closing that original dart and opening up a new one. All right, I have closed that dart so the dart legs came together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up where I left off, tracing around the exterior. Where I left off was right here at this hash mark. So give yourself a new hash mark and continue tracing around the outside of your piece until you get back to where you started, which was right there. Take off your pattern piece and your new pattern is revealed. That was pretty easy, right? So again, this is our apex. If we connect our dart legs to that apex, we are able to then move on to the finalizing step in the process. That means same finalizing. We have to blend this edge where we close the dart. We always want to do that. We have to back off our dart point and get our markings and our labelings all correct. We also need to find the dart intake shaping here. So we're going to go through the same steps. Follow along with me. I'm going to back off my dart point 1/2 inch. Line up 1/2 inch with my apex. Find the middle ground between those preliminary dart legs. That is my new dart point. There you go. Now this is my new dart point. I know that on finalized patterns, my punch hole is backed off even further. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna fold my dart to find the edge shaping. I fold my dart all the way to the dart point, not the punch hole or the apex. While this piece is folded, I like that it's in alignment really well. I am going to cut along this piece. Ah, that looks familiar. I'm gonna finish cutting around the rest of it. All right, after you've got them all cut out, I am laying, here is what my pattern piece from the pivotal transfer method. This is my pattern piece from my slash and spread method. And this was my original sloper, and this is the design we were going for. Now what should happen is these two separate methods are two ways to get to the exact same end goal, okay? When you lay your pattern pieces on top of one another, they should be exact replicas. Your apex should be in the exact same spot, your dart points and your punch holes should be in the exact same spot. The edge of your pattern piece should be the exact same. That's how you know you're going through this process correctly and you're coming up with the right end goal. I want you to look at page 89 of your textbook. So what this is showing is you can prove to yourself that you've done the principle of pattern manipulation correctly. You can fold the dart and compare it to your sloper when that dart is folded. They should align, the cardinal points of your pattern pieces should align. And that is proving to you that you are getting the same fit even though you've changed the location of your darts. Another way to check that you're going through the process correctly and getting a good fit is that you should be able to lay all of your pattern pieces on top of one another, lining up the apex, and the angles of the darts should be in alignment as well. So I will do that here. I'm lining up the apex, and you'll notice that even though my darts are not the exact shape or anything, they still have the exact same angle. So those are two ways page 89 can tell you whether you are doing this dart manipulation principle correctly and if you are getting the same fit even though you're moving the location of the dart. So make sure you check your work throughout skill 2 as you're doing this. Good luck.